Let's start there with AD because he's kind of the biggest name of this group. He still is a top 75 player. You can argue about that all you want, but there was a report earlier in the week by Shams Charania, Tom, where he said AD was going to get his surgery and he might be out for the remainder of the season. And then AD posted about it. He's like, well, let's don't believe everything you read online. And well, it turns out AD got his second or third opinion, whatever it was, and he's not getting surgery. He's going to be out only 6 weeks. And this is in the middle of what could be an AD trade. Mark Stein reported that the Mavericks aren't going to sell low, but AD and Rich Paul want him to be dealt before the deadline on February 5th. And I'm sure that's in part why he's deciding not to get surgery here. So another team feels more willing to go out and trade for him.
Yeah, KOC, do we know what the injury is yet?
I don't think we know all the exact specifics yet with AD. Yeah,
it's
some type of hand issue. Some type of hand issue.
But wouldn't it be helpful to like get it out there what the hand issue is and to provide some clarity on Anthony Davis? If you're going to absorb a guy who's
we know ligament damage. That's it. Ligament damage. That's the only word we got. It's kind of like, it's not quite hockey, upper body injury, lower body injury, but we don't know the exact issue with the hands.
But he'll be reevaluated in 6 weeks. I don't know why we're treating this like a state secret here on what the particulars are on the injury. But if you're going to be able to absorb a $54 million contract this year, a $58 million contract the following year, and there's a player option for $63 million in 2 years on Anthony Davis, you better know what you're getting. And so that's why I'm just saying this is so silly that we're trying to we have to like get an investigative report team to figure out what the actual injury is, or whether he's going to have surgery or not. But I will tell you this. I think for Anthony Davis, the team that I'm circling most on all of these trade talks is the Los Angeles Clippers. I am looking at the Clippers season as they're getting so much better now with Kawhi Leonard taking off, and they have 2 first-round picks that they can put into a deal. And so for me, they've always been looking for that that power forward that they can get to put next to James Harden and Kawhi Leonard and Ivica Zubac. And they can get a bunch of salaries together in order to get Anthony Davis if they wanted to. And considering the investigation that's circling around this team, it might not be the worst idea to get a big-time player like Anthony Davis with those 2 first-round picks in case Adam Silver says, hey, look, we saw with the Steve Ballmer stuff, the aspiration stuff, we're going to dock you some first-round picks, but they have the 2030 and the 2032 to put into a deal. And it remains to be seen whether Lawrence Frank, the president of basketball operations, come February 5th, will actually put those first-round picks into a deal and maybe potentially, Kev, bring Anthony Davis home back to LA.
Yeah, I mean, I think with AD to the Clippers, like it'd be tough, but they do have the money to put together. I mean, John Collins or Zubac and Bogdanovich and Derrick Jones Jr. So they have guys they can put together in a deal like that. And it feels like the Clippers are a team nobody really talks about as making a deal. A lot of the focus with AD right now seems to be on Eastern Conference teams, the Hawks right now, who are just, in the middle. I don't really know if I'm an Atlanta fan, I'm feeling a lot of reason to go out and get Anthony Davis, especially with Trae Young not there. So, I mean, I think with AD at this point, Tom, in his career, on the wrong side of 30 at this point, hasn't played 5 games in a row since he was traded to the Dallas Mavericks. There's not a big market for him. And so the intriguing thing here is if you're Dallas, you gave up Luka to go get AD. And you have Mark Stein reporting that the Mavericks don't want to sell low on Anthony Davis. Who would buy high on AD? I don't think there's a team, aside from possibly the Clippers out there, that makes a lot of sense in the world to me to go out and pay a lot to go get AD.
This is why Anthony Davis pays Rich Paul to be his agent, is he has to create a marketplace where it doesn't seem like, hey, you're not getting a guy where you're selling low on Anthony Davis. You're getting a guy who's one of the best power forwards, big men of his era. I don't believe that they're going to get anything of substantial value. Like if you're the Clippers, just to use them for an example here, they could put in Bogdanovich in his contract. They could put in John Collins, his contract, and Brook Lopez. And then what? Like Niederhauser, are you going to be able to get Niederhauser from the Clippers for AD? one of those 2 first-round picks in 2030 or 2032. If you're getting prime AD, yeah, of course you're going to be able to get those kind of assets out of the Clippers. But if you're Rich Paul, you have to create a marketplace in which the Clippers are like, yeah, you know what? We're going to get a very reliable, not injured Anthony Davis, which is not what the Luka Doncic Dallas Mavericks were getting when they swapped Luka for AD. He was hurt at the time, and he is hurt right now. And if you do trade for AD, he's going to be hurt again. And this is one of my favorite stats regarding this trade deadline coming up forward, is that if you look at Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum are both out for the season, or pretty much for the season. They haven't played a single game this year. But if you look at their last 2 seasons, AD has played fewer games than Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton over the last 2 seasons. And you could say the same for Ja Morant. So in terms of the trade talks, the teams that are acquiring or potentially looking at Ja Morant and Anthony Davis have to realize they are so injury riddled that 2 guys who are out for the season with an Achilles tear have actually played more games than them over the last 2 seasons, Kev. So it's literally, if you want, I wouldn't say damaged goods, but he is a damaged player. Like literally he is injured if you were acquiring Anthony Davis at the deadline, just like the Dallas Mavericks were a year ago. It's crazy.
Absolutely.